The floodgates have been opened. Back for Blood has released, and it's time to find out if it's any good. I made a video about my first thoughts after one day of early access, and it was pretty well received, so I'd like to thank everyone for that. You may wonder why I think a video is warranted 3 days later, and honestly, I went back and forth on that myself. The reason I decided to make another review video so soon is to address some more of the communities concerned. Back for Blood has been divisive. If I had $1 for every time I've heard the game isn't Left 4 Dead 3, I'd be incredibly wealthy. Look, I feel like Turtle Rock Studios did this to themselves a little. They do have the number 4 in their title after all. I don't want to talk about what Back 4 Blood isn't. What I do want to talk about is what the game is. And what Back 4 Blood is, it isn't all good. I mentioned before the light machine guns and shotguns left something to be desired in the audio department. That feeling has only gotten worse as I've racked up more hours of play. The audio design is best described as functional. I'll be the first to admit that playing Hunt Showdown has spoiled me in the way a shooter can present audio clues to a player. I don't expect that from every game, but it would be nice. I always play with my headphones on so that my wife can scare the ever-loving shit out of me, and I generally could tell where the Ridden were coming from based on audio cues, but not much else. Since you're not going to be facing snipers or stealthy enemies of any kind, you don't really need amazing audio cues, but it's never a bad thing to have. And as far as music goes, it's there. I was warned about a jukebox by the devs to avoid copyright claims on videos, but I honestly can't think of a single track. Music isn't overly noticeable as far as I've experienced. Numerous people saw fit to tell me this isn't Left 4 Dead in the comments section, and I have to remind myself of that in some ways. This is a spiritual successor, or at least it tries to be, but it doesn't occupy the same game world. When you first take control of your cleaner, that's cleaner with a capital C, you're facing a known threat. This game takes place well into the Ridden outbreak, and I don't feel that there's enough background given on how the outbreak happened. Look, I realize that you don't need an amazing and deep story penned by Hideo Kojima to enjoy shooting zombies, and Back 4 Blood certainly is enjoyable. I'm just saying that I enjoy Back 4 Blood, and when I enjoy something, I like to submerge myself into it. I'd like to have it seep into my pores. I want to be sold a game, not a universe. I want there to be lore videos on YouTube, action figures, spin-off games, books. Yeah, I get it, I'm a publisher's wet dream, but I like being sold on an entire package. The cleaners, as an organization, they seem to have a purpose. You'll be tasked with rescuing civilians, cleaning out Ridden infestations. There are military units that will support you through the game's campaign, but I was never informed if they're standalone units or part of a larger, still functioning armed force. Let's just say that I feel that the story is a bit of a missed opportunity. It's good, I just wish there was more. Now let's move on to actual game mechanics and structure and the things that I'm actually worried about. But first, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe. It helps me get closer to my dream of having more subscribers than my son's principal. You use your personal channel for school announcements, that's cheating, Mr. Swenson. The deck system is unique, and I like it. That's saying something. I actually have deck builder games filtered out of results on Steam. I generally don't like them. But the way you unlock these surprisingly impactful cards is by using supply points gained from completing mission objectives as well as side quests. You'll take them and buy your way down supply lines. These function as kind of a mix of a talent tree and a battle pass. And this is my first concern, especially considering how Turtle Rock did us dirty with the game Evolve. These cards can actually be way more impactful than I thought they'd be. They can enable you to carry extra supply items as well as causing more of them to spawn. What if Turtle Rock starts charging for these supply lines? At present they're free, but what if we get the old bait and switch? Or what if there are premium supply lines that you have to pay to unlock? These could have cards that are better in every way or just straight up direct upgrades to the ones that we have now. The decks themselves are going to be subject to power creep. That's unavoidable. There are only so many cards like turn your melee attack into a knife stab that can be made. So that healing efficiency 20%, that might be plus 30% a few content drops from now. So what happens to the guy who buys Back 4 Blood on the Steam summer sale in 2023? Is he or she going to face enemies that stomp them because they're balanced for the new card decks? Are they going to be an undesirable teammate because of their outdated buffs? Is Turtle Rock going to sell fancy new decks to boost you into the modern power level? These are questions that need to be answered if we want to prove the people calling this game a shameless cash grab wrong. Another more obvious worry, and one that might be somewhat unavoidable, is future cleaners. As it stands, cleaners aren't just skins, they have something that benefits themselves, like having more stamina or damage resist, as well as a party-wide buff. Assuming they get monetized, which I can't imagine they won't be, how are the devs going to balance them with the current set? You don't want them to be worse, or people won't buy them. And you can't make them clear upgrades, or the DLC will become mandatory. Now look, I could see that being incredibly tempting to greedy developers, but what about attracting new players? Using Dead by Daylight as an example, some of the best survivors with some of the best perks come from the base game. Now that I think of it, the grindy inheritable trait system could actually work pretty well in Back 4 Blood. Now, being on Game Pass will get this game a lot of exposure. The next few months here will be make or break for Back 4 Blood. The gaming world is watching. I hope we aren't let down. Until next time, I have been Septimus of the Grim Alliance, and you have been an amazing audience. Thank you, cleaners, and I'll see you out there.